Okay, so now we are live.
Hi,
Hooray.
Erica.
Hello, everyone. I am here with Zakia Ringgold. She is the founder of Live Soap School, and she live streams her classes. Is it every week or every 2 weeks?
If I could pick up on consistency, it would be every week, but right now it's about every 2 weeks.
Okay. So what made you start live streaming your classes?
Completely by accident. I was just sharing my journey of learning how to make soap, and I started teaching at an after school program, but I was live streaming since 2015 on Twitter. And so I had built an audience of people who were very interested in what it was that I was doing. And they started saying, well, hey, you're going to teach those kids. Why not teach us? And so my background is instructional design. So I just leveraged that with what I was doing on the live videos.
I like that instructional design to soap making.
Yeah.
Was that a hard transition or was it pretty easy?
It was easy in that I come from the corporate background, and there's so many should be, you have to be, you got to get this checked off. And there was no red tape when I decided to live stream. I was in my own bubble. I was in front of an audience who had no idea what was right or wrong. So even if I made a mistake, it kind of felt natural on the broadcast. So we would just kind of be making this up. So to answer your question, no, it wasn't a hard leap at all. It was just understanding all the things, because not only was I teaching the soap making, I was selling the product that I was making. So learning the online systems to fulfill orders became tricky.
Oh, now I got to know what was tricky about it.
All the options, right?
Oh,
So, do you do a WordPress site? Do you do a Shopify site? Do you do an Etsy store? Do you publish it on Amazon? Like all of those things and the small nuances that go along with it. And then the packaging of it. Actually, the packaging held me up for a really long time, because I didn't feel like it was professional enough. Like I had built this brand online, and then they have these unboxings, and it's like, well, they're going to unbox it, and what if it doesn't live up to those expectations? So that was the one of the trickier parts. But technology wise, I'm definitely a techie, but I like to kind of understand all the ins and outs and the pros and cons of using one versus the other before I dive in and say this one. But now I have WordPress and Shopify. I settled on those two.
okay. Well, I do love a good package design. A package design will stop me or help me buy something, and I understand why you did that. Um, why two? Why WordPress and Shopify? Is there a difference?
Yeah, so I have an audience of people who either they want to buy what it is that I make, or they want to learn how to make it and start a business. So
Okay.
Shopify was a really easy decision in that I was able to quickly load my products, and then they could be shared on Facebook and Instagram, and it was secure. Whereas WordPress, on the other hand, I had an idea of what this online school should feel like. And so WordPress has all of those plugins and whatnot that allows me to have the blog, have the courses, um, have like the videos that we've done live show up. And OneStream Live does make that really, really easy to do in terms of grabbing that content. And you're the repurpose queen. So that's how I'm able, and that's why I use the two. The two. One serves a particular audience, which is I want to buy what I just saw you make. And that's where Shopify comes in. The other one is, hey, I really want to dig deeper into, well, what is natural soap? Why do I need to use lye and all of that? And to kind of show that content expertise, I needed a blog with search engine optimization and all of that. And WordPress kind of allows me to scratch that technical itch of, can I actually do this thing?
I like that. So, I do like watching you make it. I find that fascinating. And they're so pretty when they come out in these giant blocks. I love that.
Yeah.
So you have the classes on WordPress and you live stream. How do you know when to make your classes free and when to charge for them?
The depth of knowledge that's required. So the process to make soap, if you have oil and you have lye, you can make soap. You can do it with coconut oil, you can do it with Crisco. So the general mechanics of it, that's a very easy thing and that makes sense to do as a live stream. But when it comes to formulating your product, those things that took me time to learn, and cutting that learning curve for people, um, the what to do is what I live stream. The how to do it is what I put into a course. So if you want to learn how to use a soap calculator, um, I can't really do that on a live stream because it's going to be so unique and individual to what it is that you're trying to create. And you're going to have in depth questions about using a natural colorant versus a mica colorant, no color, essential oils versus fragrance oils. And there's so much that goes into those. And it took me reading about 75 books on soap making, watching hours and hours of video, attending conferences. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of feel bad. It's like, well, I know this. Why can't I give it all away? Well, you know this because you made an investment. You took the
True.
time, the energy, and the money to learn these things, and you're shortening someone's learning curve. And so that's how I kind of make the distinction. And then based on the videos that I do on those live videos, I pay attention to those comments and those questions. And even when it's done on YouTube, I don't really concern myself so much with the live video. It's more about those people who are watching on the replay, because even though you're not there, they're still sitting, taking the time to listen to what it is that you say, and then they post a comment. And those comments are which actually had me move into more herbalism. I don't know if you can see that cabinet over there. So a lot of people were getting interested in using herbs in their products. And again, that's a whole nother learning curve. Long answer to a short question, but how much time did it take me to learn those things and distill it in such a way that anybody could pick it up is what makes me do the distinction between, hey, should this be a live stream or does this go into a course that's paid for?
That makes sense. I think my favorite video is when you were moving in your building. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and you were talking about having your brothers work on it, and it was a Sunday. I was like, wow, your family really loves you.
yeah. I when I say I have the best support system in the world, my aunt is typically not on camera. She has this thing where you stay off Facebook. Don't put my picture on Facebook. Don't talk about me on Facebook. She doesn't want the Facebook and the Google guys to know that she's a person. I said, well, you have a cell phone, so they know. But my brothers, my mom, my cousins, grandma, uncles. I don't know. You might have seen the video when my uncle, he comes over in the snow to get his soap. And I mean, he'll get bags and bags of it. My best friend Birdie, she will take my soap out with her. And when she comes to my house, she has orders on her phone of people who say, okay, I want 2 lemongrass, 1 triple butter. So I don't take it for granted, that support that I have, because I really, really believe that you can only go so far as an individual, but it's those people that are around you that allow you to keep going for sure.
So, live streaming, your why for this, has that strengthened your support system? Maybe?
Hmm.
Because I know you got
Here's
fans.
I do. Here is the most interesting thing about that. When I first started, the conversation was, well, why are you doing that? Nobody cares about making soap. Why are you spending all this time doing that? As the years progressed, that why turned into how, or can you show me how to do, which is kind of a very interesting dynamic. I've always been that way. But I think it's like they knew that I needed them more from watching me on the live streams because I am raising two girls. At the time when I first started, I was working a full time job, um, and then trying to launch a business. They saw all of that as it was progressing. And I think that's what also helped to solidify the community of what we call Soap Nation, because they have watched this from my basement. That's where I started making soap. Then I moved to the dining room table. No, I moved to the kitchen table. Then I moved to the dining room. It took over the entire dining room. The pandemic hit, and it was like, oh, you have these two businesses that you're doing now. And that's where the garage kind of came in of, okay, so now we really need a space so that we can have more professional videos. I'm not taking over the kitchen and the living room with it. So I think them seeing that it was something I was serious about and not like this fly by night kind of thing really allowed them to say, okay, she's serious. She makes a heck of a product, and she has strangers from all over the world that are telling her how awesome she is. So maybe we could support, but many of them supported from the jump. I think it just got stronger as they saw that, hey, she's not quitting on this thing. You're going to a soap conference? What is that?
You're speaking at soap conferences.
Yeah,
People are
yeah,
asking you to teach them live and in person because that's how good
yeah,
you are.
yeah.
Did that came about from the live streaming or from your courses or people recommending you?
It really did. So the first time I spoke at a soap making conference was in 2018. And my topic was why you need to live stream for your business. And it was a very popular session because most handcrafters, they depend on going to fairs, craft shows, and all of that. And that's a lot of work. I refuse to do those. You have to pack everything up, get it to the location, set it up. Whatever you don't sell, you're packing it back up and bringing it to the house. And that's about a 6 hour day. I did a few of them when I first started. And the same amount of time with less effort, I could sell by clicking a button on my cell phone. So I would be in my dining room, and my products have shipped to 17 countries and all over the United States, all from my dining room with live streaming. And I would go to these craft shows. And so I was, again, ahead of the time with the live streaming for my industry. Um, and I that was why they asked me to speak. It was hey, and I've done chatbots, I've done online business tools. When I go to soap making conferences, I'm not teaching soap making, I'm teaching what you need to grow your business online. And
That's
it's from
nice.
experience. That's the thing about it. It's not like something I read in a book. It was like, hey, I've tried this, these are my results. And live streaming is definitely the way to go. And I think the pandemic showed everybody that too.
You know, what I most dislike about going to the fairs is that the people who don't want you to have put holes in their grounds from your tent poles, they want you to have these buckets of concrete. And yeah, I ain't like
Who's
that.
who's carrying that?
Yeah,
That's more stuff to carry. You see what I'm saying? Press a
yeah.
button on your cell phone, use one stream live, get it out to all the platforms, and have the people come to you where you are and ship it.
So I'm nosy, so I gotta ask. In one stream, you got like 40 plus platforms. I say use them all. Do you like to be sufficient on one or two channels, or do you like to use them all?
I primarily use three, and that's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. The thing is, I'm in this space where I have like these multiple hats that I'm wearing. Sometimes I'm a soap maker, sometimes I'm doing virtual events, sometimes I'm doing something else. So LinkedIn is more for the more business kind of home based stuff, whereas the soap making, my audience and my tribe I found on those three platforms. But you kind of just said, why not? It's there, increase your distribution. So maybe I'll up that three to 40. I couldn't imagine what those live comments would be like, but hey, nothing beats a failure but a try.
Yeah. Now, I'm only at 11 or 12, but
Okay.
I'm getting up there. I added Telegram when they added it. Like as soon as they told me that was coming out, I put it on there. It's like, why not? But there's so many more.
All right. All right. So if you see me on some unknown platform, you can thank Erica for that because she said, hey, it's there. And I didn't even know Telegram had live streaming.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
people are still trying to get on Twitter. People are still trying to get on LinkedIn. And I don't know why everybody isn't allowed yet. But, while you're waiting, there's other platforms that'll just let you in.
Yeah.
So I
Don't
know
keep
you have
the
like,
door down.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was just saying, so don't keep trying to beat the door down. If that door's closed, go to the ones that are open.
Yeah. It was like, while you're waiting, just move over.
Yeah.
So I know you have like four other businesses. Do you also live stream for those four others, or is it three others?
It's four total. So it's
Okay.
the live, the buy Zakia events, and now we have the software as a service. I only live stream for the soap making. And the reason for that is I'm doing something with my hands and I'm describing it. I find it difficult to sit behind the computer and walk people through just for the sake of walking them through. I don't enjoy that. I don't get the same satisfaction from those things. But I think at least for the events and the software as a service, it does need to become a part of our marketing mix. It's just trying to figure out my way of doing it where I'll enjoy it.
You do look very happy when you're doing your walkthroughs. Another happy video is when you were showing off the shelves you had just got from Facebook Market. And I was like,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
It's like I can feel the joy coming from you. So that's another reason why I like your videos. You feel very happy.
Yeah. And I have a rule. If I am not in a happy place, I will not click the go live button because I feel
Oh,
like there's enough negativity that people are going to see. And I want people to feel that joy. It's not even about our moniker is hashtag more than soap. It's not even about people coming to learn to make soap or to buy the product. I want to be that one like happy moment in their day. So to hear you say you can feel that joy as it's coming across, that means I'm doing what I set out to do, and that's reassuring for sure.
yeah. It's like I don't know how it happens. Um, you're on the internet. I'm on the internet, and it just feels very happy. Another favorite is when you show the pictures of the giant blocks right before you cut them.
Yeah, they're
I was
beautiful.
like, that should be artwork because it is.
Yeah, I was going to put those in like because you can cut off pieces of it and still have it and frame them. And I was going to send that out to some of the customers I've had for 5+ years, just as a thank you. So I think I might do that. Yeah, soap making is art. It's part science, but it's so much more art because you're expressing yourself in it. And that's actually how I stumbled on soap making. I was going through postpartum depression. I stumbled on a video. I was looking for natural oils to use in my hair. And this video came up about natural oils to use in soap making. In my head, it was you actually can make soap. But I was mesmerized, like watching the oils pour and all of that. And it really helped me to come out of that moment of, oh, everything's horrible, everything's terrible. There's moments of zen in it while you are making it. And it's expressed when you go and cut those bars because each bar is unique in its own way.
Yeah. I had that same moment. I'm not sure if it was postpartum. I was 4 months pregnant, and my supervisor had told me that it will take 6 weeks for you to be out on maternity leave, and it only takes 4 weeks to train a new person. So we're just going to go ahead and let you go. He's like, but don't worry, we're not going to call it we're not going to say that we're letting you go because you're pregnant. We're just going to wait for you to make a mistake, and then we'll let you go on that. I was like, wow. And I was so angry at this one person. But turns out there's like over 8 billion people on the planet, and you don't have to worry about just one.
Isn't
So,
that a good point? Yes, make that a soundbite, Erica, for sure.
so the things that we find that brings us joy is like I wanted to host events, and I know you host events too. So now I gotta ask, what came first, soap or events?
Soap. I used all of the lessons from the live streaming of the soap making to transition into producing those events. So that's what it was. I had a really critical moment right there when the pandemic first started. And my very first thing was I did the virtual soap summit. And that was in April of 2020. So when most people were trying to figure out what a pivot was, we were in a full blown pivot because we were already using the tools. Like Zoom was second nature. We've moved on from Zoom. There's much better tools, but that's not what this is about. Um, but we had some really cool platforms, and we ended up, so the pandemic was like what, March 19th of 2020. By April the 14th, we had 14 speakers, over 300 paid attendees at a virtual soap making conference. And the amazing thing about that was that idea of service. The reason I did it was I knew, going back to what I said about um, most people that are in the handcrafted industry, they they depend on in-person events. So this was my opportunity to bring them online and show them, here is how you live stream. Here is how you build your online store, because many of them did not have online stores. So by doing that, and then remember, I had volunteered at libraries teaching kids soap making. The director of that library happened to see that I had shared this soap making conference, and he said, "Hey, can you do that thing you did for soap makers for these 600 librarians? Because we need to cancel." So I turned on my Google, what was it? The Google Insights, where it'll track keywords that are coming up. And conference, canceled conference just kept coming up over and over and over again. And I said, wait a minute. If you can do it for soap, you can do it for libraries. If you can do it for libraries, you can do it for universities. And so that was what allowed me to quit my full-time job. And it was because I had did the live streaming and understood the online systems to be able to make that pivot in this new world that we were in virtual events. And so
Like
that conference, yeah, that one conference set me on a trajectory for 2 years to produce 75. So the soap making came first, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the soap making.
like that. So not only did you have a regular job, you were making soap, live streaming as a hobby, volunteering at a library to teach kids, and someone just happened to see your live stream that was like maybe right next to you.
Yeah.
I like that. I was like, you're very busy. You have a lot of energy.
Yeah. But then when I crash, I crash. When it's bedtime, do not call me, do not text me, don't have anything bleeping on this phone because you're not getting an answer.
I like that. I like that. It almost went full circle. It's like your job was teaching you how to do. I forgot what you call it. I want to say
The
it's like
courses.
engineering, but instructional design.
Yes.
That's probably have something to do with engineering.
Yeah.
But how that worked in with soap and how soap worked into live streaming and like I didn't know. I've always heard that you should always strategically volunteer. Were you just doing it because you like soap?
No.
Eh,
No, that wasn't it. Fundraisers got me to do it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
my daughter had just started uh, daycare, and my other daughter was in first grade. In that first week, they came home with fundraisers, and it was, if you sell like $2,500 worth of products, we're going to give you this $20 gift card. And so I started scratching my head, and it was like a eureka moment in terms of where do we get this mindset of work, 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 and not ownership. And so I said, because they were really excited. Like my youngest daughter, or I'm sorry, my oldest daughter, she was mad at me because I said, "You're not going knocking door to door to make all this money and then turn over and get $20. I'll give you $20, but instead, you're going to get a lip balm kit. And I'm going to teach you how to make lip balms, and you're going to sell that. And then you tell me how much you get from that $20." And so the library came about because it was, how do I get to these kids at this very young age and introduce the concepts of business ownership? I don't care if you don't like soap. I don't care if you don't want to make a bath bomb. But if I can plant the seed of business ownership, then maybe there's a line in Hamilton where he says, "What is a legacy? It's planting a seed that you never get to see." So I may never see a kid, but I know that I had a chance to sit there and say, "Hey, um, you know that thing that you love doing? You can turn that into a business." And that wasn't a conversation I had as a kid. So that was what made me go to the library.
Like that, the
Yeah.
idea of ownership instead of just being a consumer.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Because oftentimes, unfortunately, our kids in particular, what'll happen is their ideas are looked down upon and then stolen, repackaged, and resold to them at a premium. So if they own that, right, and they're actually doing something with it and they love it just because they do, and they're able to monetize it, why not?
Yeah. A long time ago, when there was job centers, I was sitting at a table, and a little boy says, "I want a job," and his mama says, "What kind of job you want?" He says, "I want a color." She's like, "Boy, that ain't no job." And I was like, people do this for like hundreds of thousands at Disney alone. I'm like,
Yes.
imagine all the other places where they have artist color. I was like, wow. Like, she hurt my feelings because I'm an
Yeah.
artist too.
And everybody is an artist, Erica. I'm so glad you said that. That is what I try and say on my live streams. I don't care who you are. Every person is gifted with some skill, talent, ability, gift. And if you can really harness that and then share it by live streaming, you never know who you can inspire by that. Even if you don't make a nickel from it, somebody turning on that particular video and saying, "Oh, wow, maybe I could try this thing," or "I've had this idea." I think that's one of the most impactful things about live streaming. The business part is, I won't even say great because it's a headache sometimes. The business part is good, but I think we're all here to try and inspire someone else or motivate someone else or just kind of share where we're coming from. Because a lot of times it feels like you're on this island by yourself and you get a chance to really say, "You know what? I can I can go with it, or let me try." And if you can get someone to say "let me try" instead of "that's not possible," I think you've served them well.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So, for everybody out there that's listening to us, don't worry about if people on your live or not, um, because people can watch it later. Not only that, what I do when I feel like I have a really good conversation, like this one here with Zakia, it's going to go out two more times today. So if you're using, yes, it truly will. So if you're using OneStream in the scheduler, you can say what times you want it to play. So when this finish, 1 o'clock Eastern time, it'll probably play again, and at 7 o'clock Eastern time, it'll most likely play again. Because I feel like you guys need to hear what Zakia is saying, especially about the whole ownership.
Well, first off, I had no idea about that scheduler feature in OneStream because I'm noticing if I live stream at a certain time of day, the views are lower. Whereas if I don't have to do that live again. I can just schedule it and it'll go out like it's live.
Yeah. There's even a button that's called loop. So you can tell it to play however many times you want, and it'll delete itself. But I don't delete it. I just let it play. Because there's a comment for every time. Because every time somebody's on your page, let's say you're in Facebook, Facebook is not going to show your live stream to everybody.
Mm-mm.
So, according to what time of day people are on Facebook and they're scrolling through, they might catch you. So that's why I like 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 7 o'clock.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, have you had any surprising moments with live streaming?
My most surprising moments is when I would go to the conferences and people are like, I watch your videos. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because it's like one of those, oh, that's nice. But to know that you're making those connections is, um, and it's people in my industry. It's not like random weird people. But then the other part is always the trolls. I don't get them as much because I have moderators on the YouTube channel, but initially on Periscope, they would come on and they would be brutal, just saying the worst things. But I think the easiest thing is just knowing in your mind, like you said, there's billions of people on the planet. 99.9% of them are great people. The other 0.111% or whatever, there's a button that you can press and you can block them really quickly. So I think that was a surprising moment. It's like, I would never, why would somebody say that or do that on a stream? But I would say the good part is when you get to actually meet people in person. And the best compliment that people give me is, you're just like you are on your videos. Like, well, how do you change? Like, how do you turn it on or off? Um,
Yeah.
there was one lady who was originally from Philadelphia, and she used to watch me all the time on Twitter, and she came to the city. And we had gotten really close, and she came to my house. She came into the dining room and she just kind of froze. She was like, this is exactly what we see on the stream. She went live in the dining room. She was like, guys, here's the goggles. Here's the gloves. Remember this soap? And so she started going through it. And I was like, wow, it's
It's
amazing.
such a real place.
Yeah, it's a real place.
Another favorite moment of mine from you, you were at a conference and you live streamed the conference.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
a little bit of it, but I thought that was amazing. It's like I feel like you're taking me on your journey wherever you go. So I was like,
Yeah.
it does
And
make me happy to see you do so many cool things, and you live
yeah.
stream it.
In my head, and this might be crazy, when I used to drive to work every day, I said, if people could only see a day in the life of, right? Like, there's no movie studio knocking on my door saying, hey, let's do a documentary. So I wanted to create my own documentary. And so when I'm long gone, my kids can look back and say, hey, remember when mom did this? Or they can see themselves on the video. And when I first started and I was trying to find out, well, how do you grow this? So none of that existed. It was everybody showing how cool their designs were. And I'm a very critical thinker. It's like, okay, you've made that, but how do you get from A to B to C to D? And I said, if I'm curious about it, there has to be someone else who's curious about it. And I always hate the whole, oh, it should be this or you should do that. Who are those people and why do we give them the power to say that and paint that very broad stroke? Because my journey is going to be so much different from yours and so much different from hers. Whereas if you get to see that true, real, organic stuff where the soap doesn't always turn out the way it was planned, or yeah, I messed up and I sent this person that person's order, and now I've lost money on that, and now I have to redo it, or hey, I can't figure out how to package the soap. We're going to wrap it in saran wrap. And because they were there for that, they were so appreciative of getting it, even in that saran wrap.
Yeah, I would be. Um, I know I got so many favorites, but you were on the mastermind with me, and you were making lemongrass, and you stopped what you were doing to show me the beginnings of making that lemongrass. And I was like, that I felt like that was just for me. So I felt special.
Try soap.
I
Yes. But
was
and the
like,
thing about it, I think you have to have good intention. Like I'm not doing it so that you buy this thing. I'm really excited about it and I want to share it. And that's what I think brings people into your live. They can smell a salesperson miles away. I can. I don't want to be sold to, but I love to buy stuff, if that makes sense. I don't sell me, but I love to buy. And I think with the courses, what that does, especially live streaming, they get to see what your teaching style is. And do you get frustrated when someone keeps asking questions? Do you have different ways of sharing the same information? Because some people are visual, some people are audio, some people are kinesthetic. Can you do that? And that's how people, like before, you could have a really long sales page and say, I'm going to teach you this, this, that, and the other. Now they want to see what it is. And live streaming is the way to be able to do that.
yeah. So the what do they call it? The sales letter. I hated those. I knew I knew that it was a sales letter.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to read it all. I caught my husband reading one day, and I was like, that is just for you to assume that you're getting a lot of value. You can just skip to the end and go to the
And
price.
click buy now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Instead of
So,
19.99, we're giving it to you for free. It's like, oh, yeah. You're giving me $13,000 worth of value for $97. Got it.
yeah. And, when you click on it, there's a upsell. If you check this box, you'll get this for $97.
Oh yeah. One click upsells. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's science behind it. And I think the live streaming and the soap making, for me, it was so different from what I was doing at work. So there wouldn't be a conflict of interest. And I was really, really intrigued by the online business model because there that I wasn't exposed to it in the corporate space. So I thought, but all of those contractors that would come in, the vendors, they were using those tactics for us to say, oh yeah, we need that service. So I think online is it's really powerful, but I think entrepreneurs in particular, we have that flexibility to take risk and try all those things. And live streaming is one thing that has not let me down. It's gotten me to China, it's gotten me to Ghana, it's gotten me all over the United States teaching soap making. And that's because they saw me live.
I like that. So now I'm thinking maybe live streaming has replaced the video sales letter. I'm guessing. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
video in some form has. Live streaming, you have to have, I don't know. See, I don't want to go into that you should or you have to. Try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, it is best to try it first. It doesn't hurt to try. It's
Yeah.
part of keep moving forward.
Yeah.
That's my motto, and I
I
see you
love what
doing
you
that.
behind it.
Yeah, I saw a Disney movie, Meet the Robinsons, and every time they mess up or they fail, and that's what they would say, keep moving forward. So I don't want to stay stagnant. I want to keep moving forward. So live streaming and selling soap. Are you just dropping links? Or do you got some kind of something that you can attach to it?
Yeah,
How's it work?
I do typically drop a link or I'll put a QR code. Recently, that's what I've been doing. Because some of my viewers on, at least on YouTube, you can see that they're watching from a television. And then also people that are in Soap Nation, that's the people who are watching. They will often write in the comments when somebody says, "Where can I get it?" Or they'll say it before I get a chance to, because I suck at asking for the sale on a live video. And so they'll type, if you want to get her soap, go to buy the gift. And they'll type it in there for before I even get a chance to say it. Or somebody will have a comment and one of those viewers will type it in. And they'll say, if you want to take a class, go here. So that's another thing. live streaming allows you to build a community of supporters, like your day ones. And don't take that for granted, right? Because otherwise you're trying to do a million things. And oftentimes my head is down in the soap pot and I've missed the comments. And so, yeah, either I will pin it as like how you had the
The
lower
banner?
third in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll either pin it, or I'll have a scrolling ticker go across, or somebody will type it in the comments.
I like that. That's very useful. I was always wondering when to use the links, but I like that know when people are on YouTube and you can see if they're on TV or not. I
Yeah.
like that's so smart.
Yeah, it tells you where they're watching from, when you go into your analytics. And I was seeing a larger proportion were watching on, I guess, a smart TV, but it would say on television. So if that's the case, if you're sitting there, pull your phone out, snap that picture, and it brings you right to the product that I just made. The really nice thing, I learned the term of scarcity in online. Well, soap making, there is scarcity because there's only going to be 18 bars in this particular soap. So I would typically pre-sell before it's even ready. So 90% of the time, the products that I'm making, they're sold by the time it's ready to be shipped out. So I don't have a whole lot of inventory kind of hanging out. And I started calling them like icon collections. So I would base it on somebody who was famous. Like I did a Patti LaBelle collection and I named it all her different songs like New Attitude or Stir It Up. So and Prince. So and so it just helps to break it up a little bit, but I don't have to create this false sense of scarcity because they can see I'm cutting it and there are only 18 bars, whereas they'll say, "Oh, you have to buy this within the next 24 hours." No, you can wait, but it might not be there.
Yeah, yeah, I can see Patti LaBelle partnering with you.
Well, she's from Philly, so am I. Yeah, her
I
Stir
hope
It
she
Up
sees
song.
this.
Yeah, her Stir It Up song works really well because you got to stir up that batter in order to make the soap. So that was when we
Did
were
you play
doing
that
things.
song while you were making it?
I did on, now I can't do it now because Facebook, they all block you. But when we were on Periscope, those days, it was the Wild Wild West. Like I played the whole Hamilton soundtrack while we were making
Wow.
soap. Yeah, don't do that now because you will get dinged, but none of them allow you to do it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of copyright laws, but at the
Yeah,
same time, I just want to share the stuff that you do with other people. I, I don't know, it's messed up and it's nice at the same time, maybe.
yeah. I think there is a way that you can play the song, like you have to get a license and all of that. But
Hmm.
in my mind, the spirit of live streaming is this is what I'm doing live. And generally, when I'm making soap, there's music playing.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking out a really crucial element. And I got to the point where I would start, when I started seeing them blocking all those videos, I would have my headphones on with the music playing. So only I could hear it. I could be in the moment. And then the audience is watching me. But then I started singing, which was not a good idea. So I said, well, we just won't have music.
Oh. I wish that there was a direct to pay to artists. Like if you like
Yeah.
my stuff, pay me. So if I like a particular song and I want to give money to the artist, I could do that.
Yeah. I'm sure I couldn't afford Patti LaBelle though. So I couldn't afford her. But yes, that there has to, I think copyright just hasn't caught up yet. I think, remember the whole Napster where people were stealing and downloading all of that. But I think we're moving more and more into the digital world where there's going to have to be some kind of compromise. Don't know what that'll be. Somehow they're getting over it because with the TikTok and the Reels, you're able to have snippets of an artist's music. So they found a way to pay them. So I'm wondering if we're on pace to try and figure that out for
But it turns
creators to
out,
be able to use it.
A lot of artists don't own their own music, so companies own them, and that's who other
Yes.
people have to pay. So yeah, like you said, it's ownership, not being a consumer.
Yeah.
So with your 4 companies and live streaming, how does that work with your brand? I mean, I know you said you only live stream the soap, but does that affect your other brands?
It informs the other brands. I use the Live Soap School and the By Zakia to test what it is I'm going to offer in those brands. So I know it works. I know how it works. I know the systems that are needed for it. So that's typically how one complements the other. And I can typically use something that I've done in the soaping to show them this is why you need to do this particular thing. And I have the analytics to go with it. I can show them that this particular action or activity led to this particular thing, and that's why I'm recommending it for you. So it makes the service seem more more credible instead of, oh, hey, let's try this thing, because a lot of people say you need to post on social media, but they're not telling you why. They're not telling you about the call to actions and all of that. So being able to say, leveraging this particular thing is why you want to do this here.
I like that, the ability to read and use your analytics.
Yeah.
Like they can come in handy if you know what you're doing, or if you know how to
Mm-hmm.
read it.
Yeah, like with the
And
events, go ahead.
I was just going to say, was there anything in particular with reading the analytics that stood out to you that made you make a shift to make something better?
Business. As much as I would do live streams on making soap,
Hmm.
all of my questions, the videos that got the most view, had to do with the tools I was using to run my business and lessons learned in running my business. And that's how I knew, okay, there's enough content on making a particular product, right? Nobody, there's not another video that you can do that's going to teach somebody something. But where the lacking point was, or what was missing, was how did you do it? How do you go from this being a hobby to now I want it to be a business? And so when I started to really pay attention to what those live comments were, the replay comments were, who was clicking to go to my blog from a video, it was always on business and technology. The soap making, that would have a very long watch hour. However, where it was trending for them to actually connect with me is when I was talking about what they needed for their business or what I was doing to grow my business.
That is smart. So, when it came time to make your paid classes, did you just take all of those comments and did you make a course out of them?
No, I leaned into what I wanted to know when I started. And then I put on my instructional design hat and I created a course outline first. And I started with the end. So by the end of this course, I want people to. And then I filled that in. And then I broke down the course into 7 modules. There's a total of 45 lessons in there. There's downloadables that'll walk you through the process. And so I based it on some of those questions, but I rolled it into, well, they need to know the legal ramifications. They need to know packaging. They need to know how to price their product so that it's actually profitable. So those were the things. And then, of course, the mechanics of soap making, picking your suppliers, that kind of stuff we put into the, I say we, it's only me, but it always feels better to say we, right?
Yeah.
Um, so what I did was I did that, but I started with the books. I didn't even talk about the books. So I started by writing books because some people didn't want to watch a video. So I would write the books, and then the reviews that I got on Amazon, people would go into more business questions. And then the videos that were on YouTube, people would go into those questions. So I used that to build the outline to create the course. And then I just recorded it with live streaming tools, but I didn't go live. I just recorded it.
I like that you have something for every learning discipline, like the books and the live streaming. So I like that.
Yeah.
Um, the courses and the live streaming, and you said you separated them by the why and the how. I also like that too.
Yeah.
How long have you been creating courses?
Oh, I started in 2002 with online courses. So when I first got out of school, I did um, computer and information systems was my major, and I had I've always had incredible mentors and bosses. And this particular boss says, Zakia, you need to learn how to put this stuff online, because I started out by working at a help desk, and I have a really unique combination of skills. Normally, if you're techie, you're not very personable, and if you're very personable, you're not very techie. But I have a really sweet spot in there, and I was actually just trying to make my job easier because I kept getting the same questions over and over again. I said, "Hey, can we include a technology training as part of new employee orientation?" Again, looking at the analytics, all of my calls are coming from people who have been here for 3 weeks and they're asking the same questions. And so I started learning how to convert in person training to online training because we couldn't extend the in person training in terms of hours, but people could do it at their desk. And I noticed back then the same shift I noticed during in 2015 when I stumbled on live streaming. Everybody was an expert. And I don't doubt that people aren't an expert, but it changes when you go from being there in person
Sure.
versus someone having to do it on their own. There is some treatment that you have to put on that so that even though you're not there, the person can still take it. So here's the history of that. And I know we don't have time, so I'm going to be quick. In 2002, in corporate space, what happened was everything went to online. So if you had like a 200 slide deck presentation, they would put that online, and it sucked. People weren't getting the results. So they said, nope, we're going to bring everybody back to the classroom. But then they found they didn't have the time, the money, the resources to be able to do that. So then there was that happy medium where you flipped the classroom. You would give just that information that was needed so people could be successful. And so I just brought that through. So when I first started live streaming, it was to teach people how to teach people. Nobody watched those videos, and then when I poured some soap in a mold, I had 500 people watching. I said, "Okay, listen to those analytics. That's what you want to see. That's what we'll do."
I like that. It's like you really got to use your analytics to help serve yourself, your business, your brand, your audience.
Yeah.
Like you really bring it home for me. I had Doc Williams on, and he showed us great things about how to use the analytics. But like you have a reason, and
Yeah.
it shows why you should use it.
You have to.
Okay, Zakia, tell people where they can find you. Where's your favorite social media hangout spot?
All right. First place you can always find me is YouTube. If you just want to get a history of where this thing, if you want to see what that journey was like, go over to YouTube, just my name, Zakia Ringgold. And then also on Facebook, you can find me at Live Soap School.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I really do appreciate it because I've learned a lot today, and I thank you for
Yay.
that.
You are very welcome. And I think you're doing an amazing job. And thank you so much for having me.
Hooray. Okay. Thanks, Zakia.